Good morning, friends. Welcome to week 3 of our wellness course. This week, our focus is going to be on relationships and social life. So if you remember back to your circle of life wheel that you did in the very first week, this was one of those pillars. And actually, in listening to your reflections, this is one of the pillars that was rated pretty low for a lot of us right now. And obviously, based on our current situation, what we have normally looked at as ways to connect and communicate and be together with our relationships and the people who we love has had to shift and change and kind of be redefined. So I understand why that might have rated a little bit lower than what it typically would have if I had you take this, say, 6 months prior. So recognize that this circle of life is something that you're going to revisit quite a bit, hopefully, because it will shift and ebb and flow as situations change in your life and as you get older. And so it is something to kind of go back and focus on. But this week, being with relationships and connection, I wanted to keep it pretty short and simple for you because this is a week where we're also meeting for our virtual sessions. So we're going to be meeting Monday from 9 to 12 and Tuesday from 9 to 12. And our time together in those virtual sessions are going to be more of time for you to connect with each other in the class, to work through some of the things from the modules that you've done already. So we'll visit our WHOOP goals, we'll look at the primary foods, and then I'm going to introduce to you something that I call secondary foods, which is actually our typical forms of nourishment. So what are we eating? What are we consuming? What are we digesting in order to nourish our bodies? We're also going to be talking about movement and physical activity. And then this week, on the asynchronous piece of it, when you're on Canvas, you're going to see that there's a couple exercises that help support connection and relationship. So I'm going to share my screen with you and go through exactly what those are. You'll notice that the overview video is here first, and you're watching it, so you probably already figured that out. And then this piece, Rangan Chatterjee is an author of a book called, he's actually the author of several books, and I listen to his podcast as well, but one that I really resonate with is his book called Stress Solutions. And in this, he has these specific pillars, and one of them is relationships. And so I attached a reading for you that's broken down into information, but more importantly, practices and activities that you can do to strengthen connection. So I want to make sure that I honor and appreciate that we are all in different places when it comes to relationships, whether you are, single or you're in a relationship or a partnership. This could be like a romantic relationship, or you could be talking about connections with family and friends. So it's broken up into, the first piece is it talks about eye contact and a 3D greeting, and it gives you an exercise to look at when you're greeting somebody. This could be a child, this could be a family member. And then the other piece talks about intimacy, touch, and oxytocin, which is released when you are in an intimate relationship. And then the final 2 pages look at nurturing friendships. And there's a specific exercise about connecting to your community and fostering new relationships. And I want to say that I recognize that there are some limitations to new friendships and new connections right now because of our current situation. But this is information that maybe you can tuck into your back pocket, or you can get really creative in thinking about how can we still create that community connection even within our barriers that we currently have. So the next exercise, if you look back, is going to be what I call kind of a choose your own adventure for this week. So if you look at the action items, there's 3 different things that you're going to be interacting with. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. The first thing is the love languages quiz. So if you've taken this quiz before, which a lot of us I'm sure have, there are different options for you. But I have to say that the love languages is something that has been so helpful in my own relationship with my husband. We actually took this before we got married. And since we took it the first time, we've kind of shifted in what our love languages are. And what a love language is how do you receive love is you're going to be able to identify through the assessment. But more importantly, if you take this with a partner or someone who you're in a relationship with, you can also see how they receive love, because a lot of times we give love in the same language that we receive it. And that might not be the way the person who we are trying to show love to receives it. So it's just really good information to think about how you approach your relationships and what are you doing to help foster and connect with that person on a deeper level. But I love this website so much because there's actually 4 different assessments. So you can choose the one for couples, and I suggest both you and your partner take that one. You can do people who are single, where you get to identify what is your love language, so that when you are entering a new relationship, you're able to communicate that in a way that helps your relationship grow and it fosters that connection. There's one for teens, so you can either take this on behalf of your teenager, or if they're willing to take it, you could have them take it. And then for younger children, I would do this on behalf of your little ones, but this just kind of gives you an idea of each child that we have. I mean, if I look at my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old, both of them receive love in different ways. And I've learned through interaction with them kind of what makes them tick and how to connect with each of them in their own unique language. This Conscious Parenting Masterclass, I don't know if you've ever seen anything by Dr. Shefali, but I first was introduced to her through this Calm Masterclass that I actually put on here called the Conscious Parenting Masterclass. If you don't have a subscription to Calm, you won't be able to listen to this. But if you do, I suggest that you start there. If you don't have the Calm app, here's a TED Talk that you can dive into that goes over the same content. It's a little bit shorter and it's not in like a class type format, but it's still really good information from a parenting standpoint. And then the third piece is specific on intimacy, sex, and desire. This is Esther Perel. You might have heard her. She's been on a bunch of podcasts, but she's kind of like a sex and long-term relationship expert. There's a little bit of raciness in here, but if you're looking for a little bit more intimacy in your connection with your partner, your relationship that you're currently in, this might be a good conversation to listen to. And so I really kind of wanted to meet you wherever you are at. So you can pick one of the 3 options, and then you're going to use that format to connect with your discussion group. You're going to do a takeaway and then kind of comment on somebody else's just to foster that deeper dialogue. So these are with your support groups, the ones that you're going to be with throughout the course. And that's really it. If you go back to the homepage, you'll notice that I have a bunch of resources for you that you can interact with this week. One of them is going to be videos that help explore each of those different love languages. So you'll see that there's one for quality time, one for physical touch. I would look at the one that you speak, and then maybe if you did this with a partner, look at theirs too, so that you can learn how to do some little action steps to help foster more love in your relationship and connection. I love this exercise so much. It says it's like 36 questions is a way to fall in love, but I really think that these questions could foster any type of connection because it creates this vulnerability and this dialogue that could help existing relationships, or if you're, entering a new friendship or a new relationship, it might be neat to kind of unpack some of these questions. This is the podcast I was talking about with Esther Perel, and then here's your love languages. So not a lot this week intentionally because we will have you for those 2 in-person days, but because this was something that we identified as being an area of grow for a lot of us, I just wanted to bring some intentionality this week to our relationships and maybe think about some little tiny things that we can implement this week that will help to connect ourselves with our friends or our family or our loved ones. So with that being said, I'm looking forward to having our class time this week. And if you need any support or have any questions whatsoever, always feel free to reach out to us. And best of luck. Talk to you soon.